What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the certifiably suave Dr. Disaster, and it seems like the battle between the journalist shills of the world and the professional noticers of things, aka normal people who don't put up with their nonsense, it seems like that battle is just doomed to go on forever.
You can't win.
Why won't you die?
All last weekend, the media class was clapping like trained seals because Captain America Brave New World had a very meh opening weekend. Supposedly, it was a huge victory to actually fall right into the box office projections, which, incidentally, was projecting them to be a very disappointing release. But we'll get into the numbers in a minute here. The celebrations of the media were particularly confusing when juxtaposed against the horrible reviews that they themselves wrote for the movie, giving it an awful score on Rotten Tomatoes. Apparently, they hated the film, but not as much as they hate those of us who call out their corporate masters at Disney.
I hate you. I hate you.
Oh, poor baby.
Well, anyhow, that was last weekend, but this weekend is a much different story. Friday saw the movie only make about $7 million domestically. That is a massive 82% drop-off week over week, and for a film that already looked pretty insubstantial after its first weekend, these numbers make it clear that this is yet another Marvel movie that is destined to lose Disney many millions of dollars.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
And yet, the shills are out in force, trying to gloss over the fact that this movie is floundering, that word of mouth is not doing this movie any favors, and that Disney is on a collision course with catastrophic failure. Look at this headline from Variety as an example, where the headline is that Captain America gets a second weekend on top of the box office. That is not an impressive achievement in the middle of February when there is almost literally no competition. Of course, Captain America is on top, but these jackasses don't want to dig into it any deeper than that, because if they did, they would have to admit some uncomfortable truths.
We're doomed.
Doomed! Doomed!
Alright, me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to give me a follow over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. But anyhow, let's have a look at just how bad the box office for Captain America Brave New World is. They have had a little over a full week under their belt for this movie, and at least some outlets are being forthright with their headlines about the shortcomings of the box office. This headline here comes from The Wrap, and it says simply, Captain America Brave New World sinks to $28 million second weekend at box office. The Marvel film drops 68% from opening weekend. Now, it's worth noting that this number that they're coming up with, the 68%, is assuming that the box office projections for the weekend end up being correct. It's counting the entirety of the weekend, Friday through Sunday, and it isn't to be confused with the numbers that are floating around saying that there is an 82% drop-off that was reported for the first Friday that the movie was out versus the movie's second Friday. But anyhow, the article says, Disney/Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World is proving to be as front-loaded as its mediocre opening weekend reception suggested it might, as industry estimates have the film earning $28 million in its second frame. Should that hold, it would represent a 68% drop from its $88 million 3-day opening weekend and would be slightly below the $31.9 million second weekend of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania 2 years ago, with an estimated 10-day domestic total of $147 million. Captain America: Brave New World is on pace to finish with less than $200 million if it continues to drop at the pace of Quantumania, which fell another 60% in its third weekend. And those numbers are domestic numbers, mind you. That is not the overall global box office haul of the film, which is already over $200 million. And actually, let's look at those numbers and get an idea as to what's going on. According to Box Office Mojo here, the film is at around $218 million globally thus far, and based on the numbers that we are seeing, the film is definitely going to struggle to hit $400 million. In fact, at this pace, $350 million is going to be very questionable. And what is hilarious about this is the fact that the media has been repeating the Disney lies that the budget for this movie is only about $200 million. It is significantly higher than that due to the extensive reshoots and rewrites and all that which they had to do with the movie. Estimates suggest that the actual budget, and this is without factoring in the marketing, by the way, but the actual budget is somewhere north of $300 million. But even if we were to use the faulty numbers that the media has been pushing out into the world and say that it was about $200 million, then this movie still will probably lose Disney a lot of money. Many of you probably know this, but for those who aren't aware, when someone buys a ticket to a Disney film, Disney does not get to take home all of that money. The movie theaters and their employees do not work for free. They take approximately half of the movie ticket cost. This means that a film which cost $200 million to make would need to sell $400 million worth of tickets in order to break even. And Captain America is not gonna do that. Not at this rate anyhow. Right now, the movie is on pace for somewhere around $350 mil, which would mean a loss of $25 million using the $200 million phony budget the media has been trying to push. That is still the studio taking an L, but when you analyze the actual numbers, well, things are looking really bleak for the bottom line of Marvel Studios. The final budget is likely more than $300 million, but just assuming that it was only $300, and then assuming that the marketing budget was modest by today's standards and was somewhere between $50 and $100 million, that would mean that Marvel will have lost right around $200 million on this movie, and that is the absolute best case scenario. With that in mind, it is wild that there are outlets out there who would be stupid enough to run headlines like this. Captain America: Brave New World still soaring at box office. And I have to wonder if this person that wrote this took the short bus to school every day, or if they are under the mistaken impression that everyone else did, because that is just nonsense. Celebrating the second weekend numbers for Captain America is like cheering the winner of a one-person wrestling contest. Yes, you might be on top, but you're still on your back. But I'm going to leave it there. Drop your mockery of this movie and its shills into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.